Welcome back to another market update this month for April 2024. I'm Adam D with the Local Connect and KW Realty, and the most common question I get every day is, how's the market? I want to share with you, boots on the ground, exactly what I'm seeing, not only in the local market here, but also for the rest of the United States. The market is a little bit slower currently as far as the number of transactions. The number of transactions are down compared to recent years. We have not seen the significant bump in spring listings and transactions that we would ordinarily expect to see. That being said, nice condition properties are still selling very quickly and often with multiple offers. We're still in a competitive environment for those nice condition, well-priced properties. Interest rates have not receded recently. In fact, in the March Fed meeting, they did not change rates, and that's probably expected to happen again, meaning rates are going to stay the same at the next Fed meeting. That's what's expected right now, and a lot of leading economists are predicting that rates may not go down until late summer or even into the fall. So it's something we'll continue to monitor, and we'll dig into the data a little bit more on that. One of the reasons for rates not going down as well is been some of the news of persistent inflation, and despite these higher rates that we're seeing, we have not seen prices cool off at all, meaning prices have not come down. They're not increasing at the same rapid rate, but prices certainly have not gone down. The most recent headlines in real estate over the past month have all centered around the National Association of Realtors class action settlement. So I want to make sure that I mention it, and I'm going to be recording a much more detailed video on what changes and how it's going to affect you as a buyer, seller, or investor. And so please hit the subscribe button, that way you're alerted to that next video. But in this video, I will touch on the two big changes that are coming up, and keep in mind, nothing's official yet. There's been a lot of misconceptions in the media, and the court has not even ratified these changes. So there will probably be even more changes, but we'll discuss what we know and what's possible at the moment. So very quickly, here's two of the proposed changes that I'll dig into in another video. But as a result of the NAR settlement, it's proposed that the MLS will no longer list the compensation that goes to a buyer's agent, or what the seller is offering to pay the agent that represents a buyer. A seller can still offer to pay the agent, it just can no longer be listed in the MLS. Number two, if these proposed changes take effect come mid-July of this year, a buyer must sign a representation agreement with the agent they choose to hire to represent them before looking at any homes or establishing that agency relationship. This is new for us. It's always been available, but now it becomes a requirement where that agency relationship agreement needs to be signed by the buyer before you look at any homes. So again, take a look at the video where I dig into this in much more detail. So look at the actual market data. We're looking at inventory going back to 2020, right here in our local market at the shore points of Atlantic and Cape May counties. You can see that inventory is still relatively low. It's certainly lower than it was in the beginning of 2020, back to the beginning of this graph. But it's getting into those high threes, approaching 4 months of inventory, and we know that 5 to 6 months is a neutral market. So it's still a seller's market, but inventory has crept up a bit. It seems to be under control right now, even declining a little bit this past month. But this is the most important statistic in real estate. We continue to monitor it closely. Now here's pending properties in our area, or properties going under contract. And one of the things that I notice is that the pendings right now are less than they were last year and a lot less than they were in 2022. So when you hear me talking about there's fewer transactions or the market's a little bit slower, doesn't mean that the market is better or worse. There's just fewer properties selling right now, mostly because there's fewer properties to sell. Now look at that. This is the total listing count, again, in our area, and not too far off. So for example, in May 2023, there was a little over 1,700 properties total. And this year, March 24, about the same number, just over 1,700. So not a big difference in total listing count. And here's a look at months inventory just going back to the beginning of 2023. And you will see that March 24 versus March 23, almost identical in inventory levels for our market. So not a significant change again. Now here's a look at showings, buyers walking through the door and looking at homes for sale, we're right in the middle of the last few years here. So similar conditions that we saw in 2022 and 2023 as far as the number of showings. Now, last month in March, the Fed's decision was to keep rates the same. And there was some expectations of rates to be cut, but this recent Forbes article I read, and a lot of other experts think that rates probably will not come down, at least from the Fed rate, will not come down until late summer or even into the fall. And here's what 30-year mortgage rates look like right now. Back in the fall, we saw that peak over 8%. Just today, they've jumped up a little bit. We've just approached 7% and just above 7%. This is for a number of reasons, one of which is there's still some inflation concerns out there. Now, here's a look at the projected rates. We bring this up every month. It's always revised by these different experts. We look at the average of all three, and most experts still project that rates are going to trend down until later in the year, but they have increased these projections. So in the beginning of the year, a lot of them were projecting rates in the 5s, and we're not seeing that any longer on their projections. Same thing for home prices. So most experts, in fact, everyone on the graph now, believes that homes are going to continue appreciating on average just over 3% for this year, for 2024. We'll keep putting this out every month as these different experts refine their predictions. So that's a look at exactly what's going on in the market here locally at the South Jersey Shore and Atlantic and Cape May counties, as well as all over the United States. If you like seeing these videos, please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. That way you're alerted of the next video. If you're a buyer, now is still a great time to continue looking, and you're going to have a difficult time, just like you've had over the past few years, of finding available properties. There are very few properties, so you have to act quickly when something becomes available. And if you're a seller, it's still a great time to take advantage of the market. It's just more important than ever to make sure that you're pricing your property correctly, because those comparables or other recent sold values are becoming more important, unlike they were in previous years where things were just selling for any unsupported price. This market's very delicate right now, and it could go in either direction. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on it, and I'll continue to monitor exactly what's going on. I'm Adam D with the Local Connect and KW Realty, and I'll see you on the next video.